Hey, it's Anna from Just a Mum's Kitchen. Welcome back to my little kitchen where today I am making my best ever chocolate cake. This recipe is absolutely divine. Millions of people have made it. It is the most popular recipe on my website and soon you will know why. It is so easy to make. It is moist and delicious and I really look forward to showing you how I make it. So let's get started. We have lined the tin. I've done another video on how I line my round tins, but basically I lay out a big sheet of paper, draw a circle round for the shape, cut the circle out, and then I spray a little bit of cooking spray on my tins, place a circle in the bottom, then the offcuts of the piece that I've just cut, I use to line the edges. Super simple. Now, on to making up the cake batter itself. It is so simple. It is simply dry ingredients and then adding the wet ingredients to that and baking it. I have pre-prepared the ingredients so I can pretend I'm in some sort of fancy cooking show when the reality is I just didn't want to throw flour and cocoa all over myself on camera because we've got enough bloopers already. That is 1 3/4 cups of flour, it is 3/4 of a cup of cocoa, and in here I've got 1.5 teaspoons each of baking powder and baking soda. I'm going to sift those together. Cocoa, baking powder, baking soda are the ones that are notoriously clumpy, so I like to sift them whenever I am baking them. You might just want to whisk them together, that's totally fine. You do you. Into that I'm going to add 1 3/4 cups of sugar. This is a chocolate cake. There is no signs of health here. And then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I just use table salt for most of my baking. And then we are going to just mix all of those things together. Okay, so I have simply mixed those things all together, basically just to distribute them evenly and make sure that the baking soda and baking powder is evenly distributed through everything. Now I'm going to prepare the wet ingredients. So onto the wet ingredients. Again, super simple. We're going to crack into here 2 eggs. And then we add in some oil. I like to use a vegetable oil for this simply because it's got no real flavour to it. It's not overpowering like an olive oil. So add that into there, 1/2 cup of oil, and then we're going to add in 1 cup of milk and a teaspoon of vanilla. So then we're going to whisk those together. I like to combine the wet ingredients in a separate bowl. You absolutely can just plop them straight in there, but this way I know they're all combined nicely and we're not going to have any little bits of egg or anything in our cake. That would be a disaster. Okay, so we're going to make a little well in the middle of here and pour in our wet ingredients. Unlike a lot of cakes, this one does not mind being whisked. In fact, it needs to be whisked really well. I actually normally make it in my stand mixer, but I wanted to show you that this one can be made just by hand. It doesn't need to be in the stand mixer. It just makes it a little bit easier to whisk together. Okay, so we've got that all mixed together rough enough. Now we're going to do the final step, and this is the step that often people freak out about because we're going to add a cup of boiling water to here, and this is going to make the mixture really runny. Okay, so we have whisked this together beautifully, and now the final step is to add a cup of boiling water. This is the step that most people end up messaging me and going, oh my goodness, my batter is so runny. I think I've done something wrong. And it's like, nope, this is the final step that just seems to bring everything together and somehow is going to be responsible, fog up my glasses, for it being an absolutely delicious, moist chocolate cake. Do take care mixing this in so you don't splatter yourself with boiling water. I always start slowly until it sort of starts to work its way into the batter. Okay, so that is beautifully combined in there now. So now we have the cake tin we prepared earlier, and we are going to tip this beautiful batter into here. So you can see, super runny. And then scrape out all of that goodness. So there you go, the cake is in the tin. Very runny batter, so be careful when using a springform tin that might not seal completely. Trust me from past experience, it will leak all over the base of your oven. We're going to pop this in the oven now at 160 degrees Celsius and bake for 45 to 60 minutes. The reason for such a big range is for cakes especially, All ovens are different, they hold their temperature different. Everyone might be using a slightly different size pan or colour pan. There's so many factors at play. So you cook the cake until it is done in the middle, so until it springs back to the touch. So don't necessarily think, oh my goodness, the cake hasn't cooked in 60 minutes. Just continue to cook it. This particular cake is not going to get dry on the edges, so you must cook it until the middle is done. So we'll pop this in the oven and I will show you when it's done. So by all accounts, this cake looks pretty cooked. It's risen, all of those things. But when I actually put the little skewer, cake testing skewer in and pull it out, you'll see that down the bottom, we still have a little ways to go because there's still wet batter on. So I'm going to pop it in. At this point, when it's getting close, 3 to 5 minute increments is fine, but we're not far away. But I just wanted to show you how when it springs back to the touch, when it's a thicker, deeper cake, it still might need a little bit more time. Okie dokie, here we go. She is fresh from the oven, perfectly cooked, bounces back to the touch. I'll check with the skewer. Yep, that is clear, so that is really good. So yeah, she is done. It took over an hour today. That is fine. As you can see, it is a chunky cake cooked at a low temperature. It has domed a little bit on the top, which is absolutely fine for my purposes. I'm just going to cover that in chocolate icing when it is cooled. So I'm going to let it sit in the tin for about 10 minutes before I transfer it to a wire rack to cool completely, and then I'm going to ice it once it is cold. So I will come back when I do that stage. Okay, time has passed, the cake has cooled. She is looking glorious and tall and magnificent, even more moist than it was when it was first out of the oven. This cake will continue to get more and more moist as the days goes on. Yes, nobody likes the word moist, but I struggle to find a better describing word for this particular cake. It is rich and divine. There's a reason it is called the best ever chocolate cake. We're now going to get on with making the icing. So, unpopular opinion, I do not like buttercream icing. I would have this basic standard icing any day of the week. Icing sugar, as you know, is really clumpy. Excuse my lack of decent measuring here, but the actual recipe is on the blog post. I've just made it so many times that I pretty much can eyeball it at this stage. We're making a chocolate icing, so we're going to be putting in 1.5 cups of icing sugar and 1.5 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And then we will sift that through. Cocoa powder and icing sugar are two ingredients that always like to clump together. So we're going to give that a quick sift. And the only other things that go in here is melted butter, vanilla, and some water to make the icing. It's only a teaspoon of butter as well, melted in for this one. So I add vanilla always to my melted butter where I can in recipes. I always just think that it infuses into the butter. Who knows if that's true or not, but I do it every time and I just love it. The smell of warm vanilla in butter. It's just nothing quite like it. So we're going to tip this into here now, and then we're going to add little bits of water to it until it's the right consistency. So we have some water in here now, and we're just going to add it a little bit at a time until we are happy with the consistency of it, starting with around about a tablespoon to start with, just mixing it all together nicely. So you can see that it is starting to thin out. I usually add around 3 tablespoons of water to it. I know some people make it with milk, some people make it with softened butter rather than melted. This is just what I do. It's delicious and it works every single time. And then you just squish out any lumps that are in there and make it a nice smooth consistency. Okay, so we've got it to about this consistency. You decide how you would like it, thin or thicker, to spread it on. I'm just going to add a tiny speck more water and then we're ready to ice. Once you get it to about this stage, you want to just add the water a little bit at a time. This is probably actually around about perfect for me, but you just add the tiniest little bits of water. The other thing is if you go too far, you've added too much water, it's easy, just pop in a little bit more of the sifted icing sugar and thicken it up to your liking. It's no biggie. Okay, it is time to ice. So we're just simply going to plop this delicious, easy chocolate icing all over the top. I'm not going for fancy. I'm not going for winning any awards. I'm not selling it. This is just for family, friends, or loved ones to enjoy. And then I just have a knife just in a little bit of water and I'm going to spread it over the top. Nothing fancy. Okay, how is that looking? We are pretty much done here. So it is as simple as that. this smells absolutely divine, and what I can tell you, it will taste amazing and it gets better every day. The other thing about this is, can I tell you now, I would much rather a cake that tasted amazing over a cake that looked spectacular. So this is how I would make this cake for my friends and family, or if you were coming over for morning tea. So I hope you love it. Okay, let us cut into this beauty so you can see just how good it is. Okay, the moment of truth. There you go, look at that, perfect every single time. The crumb is so soft, so moist, it gets better every single day. That's quite a hefty cut, isn't it? But nobody's going to mind. So there you go, that is how you make my best ever chocolate cake. I hope you love it and have enjoyed this little video. If you've made it this far, congratulations, and I hope you have a fabulous day.